Hello, and welcome back to another of Coach Chrysler's Convos. I am here today with Dr. Amy Beard. Hello, Dr. Beard.
Hello, so glad to be able to talk to you today.
Yes, thank you so much for joining me today. Um, as you know, I am so pro functional medicine and obviously pro health coach. And what I'm really wanting to do with these conversations is just to chat about your health journey and what that looked like kind of at the beginning. Take us through the process of how you found functional medicine, and then we'll talk about some of the results that you've experienced personally. So, before we get into your story, tell me who you are, where you live, and what you do.
Okay, so as you've already said, I'm a physician. Haven't always been a functional medicine physician. That came later, but before I was even a doctor, I was a dietitian,
Mm-hmm.
and went back to medical school at the ripe old age of I think it was 30. Yeah, 32. Had to think back.
Wow.
Yeah, I was one of the older ones in my class. Went through medical school, did a family medicine residency training, completed that, and realized while I was in that residency training that, prescribing pills to treat symptoms where nobody ever really got better uh,
Mm,
was not the route I wanted to go. And so I had to make a decision. And so I decided to go to the ER. I
mm,
became an ER physician instead of just working in a clinic, because at least I felt like I was of some benefit, not just there throwing pills and using them as band-aids, but actually helping people who had urgent and emergent needs. And quickly realized that lifestyle was not good for my health, with the chronic shift work, always being sleep deprived, the stress of the ER. And I was battling my own health issues at that same time, which we'll talk
right.
more about. Um, and then, I got out of the ER because I was like, this is just, I felt like I wanted to spend more time with my patients, to really understand where they were coming from, and get to the root cause of what was going on in their life. Because
Yeah.
as a doctor, I already knew that nutrition played a big role in our health, right? Even though I was, um, learned a lot of bad things in the dietetics program. But I opened up my own concierge practice and had a chance meeting with a functional medicine physician. I don't know, it was a God thing. God
Mm-hmm.
lady into my life who started talking to me about things that I had never heard of. And she encouraged me to go to one of the functional medicine conferences put on by IFM. And I did. And I had a lot of trepidation at first because I was like, sounds really weird. What am I going to experience? But I got there and I was surrounded by a lot of physicians, nurse practitioners, dietitians who are all there for the same reason I was. We knew we were missing big important pieces to the puzzle,
Mm-hmm.
and we were trying to find those. And after that initial course, I was blown away by what I had learned and heard, and I signed up for every IFM course that day. And
Sign me up,
uh,
sign me up,
yeah,
sign me up.
and I started incorporating what I learned, into the way I treated my patients, but my own health struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Started seeing really positive results, and
Okay.
that I knew this was the way. And after I completed my certification process, I opened up a functional medicine practice solely, and have been doing that ever since.
Wow. So, wow. So you have been on quite the journey, both
Yes.
in your personal health, but also in being a dietitian and then going into medicine and serving in various areas of medicine and so forth. Wow. So, I want to dive in a little bit to your health story. So, tell me a little bit about kind of early on in your health journey. What was going on?
Okay, so this goes all the way back to childhood, like most people, right? What,
True.
and this is what we find in our patients. This is why I ask about childhood. Is it very important, because it gives us lots of red flags and things that we need to focus on. So as a child, I was one of those kids who chronic ear infections, right? Which meant chronic antibiotic use, which then turned into lots of allergies to the point where, I lived in the South. Going outside was just a battle, eyes swelled shut, chronic bronchitis, sneezing, all that. And then, started having GI issues too, chronic constipation as a child. Was still very active, in fact, too active. Hyperactivity was a big deal. That ADD did not exist back then, or I'm sure I would have ended up on, an ADD med. And so my family still talks about my hyperactivity to this day. It is a legendary. I'm a legend for the wrong reasons, but and then as a teenager, it became, horrible cystic acne, continued GI issues, anxiety was really, really, I struggled with anxiety greatly as a teenager, even some OCD tendencies, which we know originate in the gut most often. And then, kept doing, but I was still thriving. I was still athletic, performing well in those activities, doing well in school because I was obsessive about grades. And then in my early 20s and into my early 30s, new things started coming up: restless leg syndrome, neuropathy, neuropathy in my feet to the point where I could not feel my feet touch the ground when I was running, and had a lot of muscle spasms where I couldn't move my neck for days at a time, chronic pain. It was, of course, and then all the other stuff was continuing, right? Anxiety, depression, acne, chronic fatigue. But I was doing a lot of things lifestyle wise that was contributing to that. I didn't know it at the time. I was just doing, I was seeing the doctor. They were giving me this pill, telling me to, do this test, do this treatment. Nothing ever worked, ever. It just seemed to make things worse.
Right.
I even had a GI doctor who, fell asleep while during my meeting with him. And he might have been like up all night on call or something. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But I was like, this is not the way. What's going on? And then, I started, just kind of playing around with like eliminating gluten, but not really, only giving it like a few days. And when you didn't see any difference, it was like, oh, that doesn't work, and then it was my after my first year of residency where I had just had enough. The constipation was so bad that I was relying on enemas to go, and this has been going for about 3 years at that point, and just it was, the quality of my life was terrible, and the stress of residency and all that wasn't doing me any favors, nor was my continued extreme exercise routines, my love of Diet Cokes that was keeping me fueled. And so I met with a colorectal surgeon who did some tests and said, but basically, Amy, your colon does not work. And so we made the decision to have most of it removed. I have 18 inches of colon remaining. And he told me, you'll be back to normal in 6 months, right? 6 months, you're going to be doing great. That was not the case. It went from chronic constipation to chronic diarrhea.
Oh gosh.
And yes. And I'm talking, I had to locate like where all the single stall bathrooms were in the community, when I went out, because I'm one of those. I like being at home to do those things. But, and not only did it turn into chronic diarrhea, my symptoms, all the other symptoms continued, plus more things came on because I wasn't
like
absorbing.
this snowball,
Yes,
just one thing after the other, after the other, after the other.
Yes, it was a complete snowball, and I was like, what have I done to myself? This obviously did not work. It has just made matters worse. And it was soon after that I finished residency and, went to the ER, and of course that continued. The the ER, kept doing the same things. And then it was the functional medicine doctor who walked into my office one day. I don't even know why, but she did. Can't remember why, but it changed my life. That
Wow.
because it introduced me to an entire way of looking at health and trying to uncover and address the root causes of our chronic health issues. And when I started putting those into practice, into my own life, my health did a complete 180.
Wow. That is a story, sister.
It
Oh
is.
my goodness.
Oh, and they even diagnosed me with MS too. Yes. So
Okay.
that was a whole other thing that got thrown into the picture because I had all the signs and symptoms. I didn't have the MRI
Mm-hmm.
findings, but the vertigo, the passing out, the neuropathy, and just a lot of the other issues. They were like, it really sounds like you have MS. And so they were willing to like, okay, we have these medications you can try. And I had tried so many medications. I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm done with the medications. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to go that route anymore.
Yeah.
And thank God that he introduced me to Dr. Betty Bischoff. She's from Tulsa.
All
That's the
right.
doctor. Yeah.
We'll go, Dr. Betty.
Yes.
So at that point, when you are now talking to Dr. Betty and you're hearing what she has to say, and it's like it maybe the light bulb turns on and you're like, yes, okay, this is it. This is what I'm looking for. What sorts of things did you begin to do to change what you had done for so long?
Well, she was one of the first ones to ever mention the word microbiome to me, which was
Okay.
something that I never heard in medical school. In medical school, we're taught how to treat symptoms with pills and procedures. No,
Mm-hmm.
there's no mention of root causes. And in fact, the term idiopathic is used very frequently. Okay. And
Yep.
I was always asking why. And it was just like, we don't know why, but here's the pill and here's the lab that you ordered. Okay. That to me just did not sit well. I was like,
Right.
this
And
does
it's like
not
if
make
you don't
sense.
know why, then how are you giving me something to fix it?
That you're giving to everybody.
Yes.
It's just the whole, you know how it is.
Yes.
So, and so one of the first things I did was an elimination reintroduction diet, which is the gold standard for determining food sensitivities, because
Mhm.
that's what I was learning. I'm like, Amy, you've had all these issues for so long, the canker sores, highly indicative of a gluten sensitivity. We've got to do this full on. And I
Yeah.
did. And wow, things started getting better. The diarrhea went away. I started feeling better. A lot of the chronic fatigue and that sort of slowly going away. Now I had to focus on some other things too, getting good rest, no more shift work in the ER, no more Diet Cokes, no more over exercising.
Mm.
There's a lot of things that play into your health. And this is a health coach. And so I did that, and I was like, just all my symptoms started slowly going away.
Hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. One, that you had never heard the word microbiome in medical school. That's
Sad.
intriguing.
Yeah.
But also that, you were doing these things that were really a part of your normal lifestyle that really are part of a lot of people's normal lifestyles, drinking sodas and, exercising to the point of exhaustion or really just putting your body in this overly stressed state, chronically
Right.
stressed state. Behaviors like poor sleep hygiene, all of these things, these are really just lifestyle things that you can slowly change over time. And it sounds like that's really what you did. You just jumped on that
Yeah.
train and started implementing one thing after the other so that your symptoms, with
Yeah.
those changes really started to dissipate.
Yeah, even with, being compromised with now only having 18 inches of colon, I'm still able to function very, very well. Now, I don't have the resiliency that a lot of people have who have, all of their colon, but I know how to work with that. I've
Mm-hmm.
learned to work with that. And like you said, everything that I did was a lifestyle matter. I did not use pharmaceuticals or procedures to get my health back.
Mm-hmm.
It was what I was doing.
Yes.
And when
Yeah.
I changed what I was doing, my health got better a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because when obviously I follow you on social media and I see you traveling and riding your bike and playing with your dogs and all those different types of things that Dr. Amy and the one you described at the beginning of this conversation seem like two completely different people to me.
Yeah, they were. The other one was struggling and just really had no joy in life left.
Mm-hmm.
Every day was a struggle. I dreaded waking up every day because
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be difficult. I don't, I love life now. I'm ready to tackle the next project, whatever that might be. Now I still have that go big or go home mentality that I struggle with, that
Yeah.
gets me in trouble at times. And that's where because I was a competitive athlete. And so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know any other way but to go all out.
Right.
Uh, so I've had to learn it's all about balance.
Mm-hmm.
Life is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? And
Yeah.
it's a journey. And so I've learned to reel that back in and just find some balance in my life, which was the biggest thing. I think one of the main things that really helped me a lot. Balance with my work, balance
Mm-hmm.
with my downtime, my family time, my me time, just kind of balancing all that out. And that is really, I think, key for a lot of our patients that we see.
Yeah. So one other thing I wanted to ask you about is how you would say that stress played into your symptoms, how you were feeling, and maybe even affected some of the other lifestyle things. Because you mentioned that you were a competitive athlete. Obviously, you went through dietitian school, you went through medical training, you started a medical practice, you worked in the ER. I mean, those are all areas of your life that are that you would have experienced stress besides all the other just everyday normal things that you were dealing with. So what was that like? How do you think that affected you?
Well, looking back, hindsight is always 2020. It wow, stress. People underestimate the amount of stress in their life, and
Mm,
they think that everybody's life is just chaotic and everybody's burning the candle at both ends, which a lot of people are, quite frankly.
mhm.
And now knowing what I know, it was only making my GI matters worse. It was making my pain worse. It was making everything worse.
Mhm.
That's what stress does. Stress will tear you down, and often the body's response to that is delayed. When you're going
Mm,
through stressful times, you don't necessarily see the health impacts, but they often present themselves later on down the road. Because I remember waking up the first year of my residency, after that year, my work duties lightened up significantly. I wasn't working the 100-hour weeks as much. And I remember waking up about 8 months later and feeling like, wow, I kind of feel human again. It took
mm.
that long for my body to kind of come back to a place where it felt okay. Now, it probably would have done that a lot quicker if I would not have continued a lot of the other things I didn't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
better. So, but I see that all the time in my practice is stress is really driving a lot of these issues. And sometimes, life throws you things that you can't do anything about,
Right.
right? Things
Right.
are out of control. It's all about how you internalize that and deal with it. And of course, when you're ill and having a lot of chronic problems, you're not as resilient and you're not able to tolerate the daily stressors as
Hmm.
well. So everything is just overwhelming when you're sick.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, and we just try to help patients like you do too, I'm sure with your clients, is how to manage that stress better. And when I was in the ER, I did try, like, in between trauma cases, I would go find a closet, dark closet, and just get in there and just deep breathe, because my
Yes.
shaking after some of these trauma cases, that were so awful. And I'd have to take deep breaths, calm myself down, and pray, and come out, come out of the closet, like, all right, let's bring on the next case. I can do this. But
Right.
I like that as a technique. And it's something that I still do today. If I have a busy day, I will go outside, expose myself to the sun with my dogs, take a quick walk around the house, and just kind of take some deep breaths, and then come back in before the next patient. And it works.
Yeah. Even though your lifestyle wasn't the healthiest at that point, that takes a lot of self-awareness to recognize I need to step away from this moment. I need to have a little bit of me time, a little bit of alone time. I need to breathe. I need to pray, whatever it is that you need to be able to step back into the chaos and not be, continue to be chaotic yourself. So I applaud you for that, because I think there's a lot of people that just think, well, I need to continue, I need to go, I need to go, I need to go, and then, as you said, down the line, they feel that, it's like they wake up one day and they feel like they've been hit by an 18-wheeler. They have no idea why, but it's because they've had that
Yeah.
continuous. So yeah,
And
that's awesome.
you will end up in the bed unable to do anything. And
Hmm.
I've seen many, many times in my patients. And some of our patients have had to make some difficult decisions, with their work lifestyle. Like, you're just doing too much. If you continue to do this, you're not going to be of any use to anybody.
Hmm.
I know you have to help this person, this person, this person, but when you're on the bed and sick, you're of no help to anybody. And so difficult, decisions have to be made. I had to do that.
Hmm.
I had to step away from, chasing the almighty dollar, because because when you're in medical school, you're broken in debt, right? So
Yeah.
you're like, I gotta make up for lost time. I gotta put
Yeah.
some money in the bank, but it was killing me. And
Yeah.
so I said, this is not sustainable for me. I do not want to live like this. This is not the way I think God intended for me to live, always in this stressed, panic state that's unhealthy and causing me problems. So that's when I just decided to slow things down. And I tell you what, it was the best decision ever. I have a great life, and I still, thank you, Lord, have a great income because of that. And so, I mean, it didn't happen overnight. Growing a practice takes time, and you're like, okay, Lord,
Yeah.
I'll eat beans and rice for as long as you need me to, but it never got that, it never got that bad. But I was prepared to do that because I knew I had found a way to truly help people achieve health, and I was willing to do whatever it took to help those people get there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's one of the reasons why your posts and things just really resonated with me, and why I started following you on social media, because of that. I could tell that you just really love God, you love His people, you love serving, you love medicine, functional medicine
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
so, but you know, and so yeah, so that I really enjoy following you, and I would encourage everybody watching to follow Dr. Beard on Instagram, and follow her on Facebook as well. You might miss her every now and then on Facebook because she ends up in jail, but that's okay. We won't talk about that. But check her out. Go to her website. She has a lot of really great information and you can check out her business and her gut health protocols and how her practice works. Check her out because she is a phenomenal doctor. So thank you, Dr. Beard, for joining me today. I so appreciate your time, and we will definitely be talking to you
Yeah.
again.
And I want to say something too. I follow you on Instagram and I love following you on Instagram. And a word about health coaches. I cannot do what I do without health coaches.
Oh, yeah. Thank
Health
you.
coaches, I mean, most people would benefit greatly just with health coaching alone, and a functional medicine trained health coach too, right? Because there's a lot of people calling themselves health coaches out there that I would not recommend you see. Okay.
Yeah.
But most of my patients spend the majority of their time working with a health coach
Mm,
because most of it is lifestyle related,
yeah.
and they help so many patients. So I commend you for doing what you're doing because you're helping people too.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I've heard, and I've actually started following one of your health coaches as well, because she's phenomenal. So,
Mhm.
yeah, health coaching is definitely beneficial to so many
Absolutely.
people. So,
Yep.
thank you for saying that. So I will see you guys next time on Coach Fritzler's Convos.